Hi, BookTube. Welcome to another non-fiction review on this, an absolutely glorious, sunny evening in June. The temperature, it's not like the inhuman heat waves that I've been hearing about in Greece and elsewhere right now. It is very sensible, 22 degrees centigrade. I believe that is 71 degrees Fahrenheit. Very pleasant. Now, last summer, I joined all the millions of people who went to see Greta Gerwig's Barbie film. I thought it would be 114 minutes of pure, light-hearted fun, like the Toy Story movies. I really loved the Toy Story movies. But because I watched so few films, I'd never actually seen anything Gerwig had written or directed before. If I had, I would have come into the cinema with some expectations that she would probably have something to say about women, and I might even have had an idea what she'd have wanted to say. Instead, I went in cold and I came out, well, I felt just as cold. I know a lot of people love the Barbie film, loads of people. I actually went to see the film twice because I was hoping to feel that love. But instead, I felt flat. I felt the film was really just a long cheerleading routine for cis-hetero females, but that didn't really have any workable ideas for a way to get beyond. And I hate using this word, but patriarchy, getting beyond patriarchy. I don't like the word, but right now we don't seem to have another one in circulation that describes the same phenomenon. Or at least we didn't until a university teacher of mathematics decided to tackle the contentious subject of gender by walking us through statistics, telling us how to have a second look, and using logic processes to identify more carefully what is the real problem with human behavior. The book we will review today is X plus Y, a mathematician's manifesto for rethinking gender by Eugenia Cheng. It was published in 2020 by Profile Books. I'll summarize it. Eugenia Cheng questions the assumption that there are masculine or feminine brains or inherent masculine or feminine traits. She believes our tendency to associate behavior and ability with gender is harming everyone. She questions those studies which are suggesting otherwise, suggesting that there are differences between the genders. And she carefully walks the reader through some examples of the many ways in which data can be misused, in which the same data can be viewed in many different ways and how different conclusions can be reached each time that perspective is changed. And then she argues that these studies which are giving us suggestions about gender, they also condition us, they leave us with biases which affect the way we interpret subsequent behavioral data when we're trying to answer questions about gender. The solution she offers is to ask us to disregard gender altogether. And her first step to achieving this is to move away from gendered terms like patriarchy and feminism, and focus instead on describing all human behavior in one of two ways, either ingressive, that is, individualistic, focused, competitive, aggressive, or congressive, meaning communal, cooperative, holistic, and inclusive. She holds that both men and women have the capacity to choose either congressive or ingressive responses. But Western society is currently structured to favor ingressive behavior to a fault. She suggests changes to the way we work and to the way we learn to achieve increased congressivity, which as a byproduct would also remedy a number of social inequalities. Let's get to know the author. Eugenia Cheng was born in 1976 in Hampshire, and she grew up in Sussex. She studied mathematics at the undergraduate and graduate level at Cambridge University. She has taught mathematics and conducted research at several universities, but her current posting is most relevant to this book because she is scientist in residence at the School of Art Institute of Chicago. Cheng describes this assignment in Chapter 5, and I'm quoting now from page 384 of the Kindle edition. I taught traditional maths in traditional universities for some years before switching to teaching maths to art students at the School of Art Institute of Chicago. In the first part of my career, I was teaching students who had done very well at school maths and who had enjoyed it enough to continue in university, and the classes were very male-dominated. I switched to teaching students who had typically not done well at school maths and often hated it so much that they fled from it as fast as possible as soon as they were allowed, and the gender balance flipped to being female-dominated. Eugenia Cheng has written 7 books in total, all of which, to lift a phrase from her website, throw a lifeline to those of us, and I am saying us, who struggled with mathematics in school, felt we did not have brains configured for mathematical thinking. I'm going to single out one title, and this is purely for comic value. It is How to Bake Pie. And in each chapter, it's about making a particular dessert, but the process is used to explain a mathematical principle. Cheng is also a professional concert pianist. In line with her ideas about changing human behavior, she has taken this concept of congressivity into the musical world, and she's introduced Liederstube, or song salons. These are more casual, intimate meetings where a small group of people may enjoy listening to and or participating in the making of classical music. Cheng has made many television appearances, and there is a lot of YouTube content presented by her. You'll find a couple of links in the description box, including an hour-long presentation that she gave to the London School of Economics about X plus Y, if you would prefer to hear her speak on the concept first before you decide whether or not to read the book. How is this book structured? Broadly speaking, the book splits into 2 parts. Part 1 is about gendered thinking, and Part 2 is an exploration of ungendered thinking. Part 1, of course, argues that the ways we have thought about gender are probably biased views, which leave out certain steps in a logical progression of thoughts, or we have measured a collection of data in only one way, when multiple perspectives are possible, and they would lead to other conclusions. In Part 1, Cheng introduces the terms ingressive and congressive. This is a quote from the Kindle version, page 346. To address our need to separate gender from character, I took a mathematical approach, not shying away from reorganizing existing thoughts into new packages and giving them names. In maths, when we name new concepts, we sometimes use old words in new ways, if we are particularly seeking to make connections with previously known concepts. But sometimes we are trying to clear our minds and get rid of prior associations, and that's when we invent new words. That's also why we need new words here, to break our prior associations with gender and clear our minds. I brainstormed for a year or two, on and off, and came up with the following words: ingressive and congressive. The etymological idea is that ingressive is about going into things, and congressive is about bringing things together. These are descriptive words rather than prescriptive ones. They just describe behavior or attitudes or situations. This can liberate people of all genders, and in particular, men can be liberated from gender pressures as well. By ignoring gender and talking about behaviors, the stage is set to ask completely different questions, not the usual ones that we hear over and over. Why do men do A or B more often, or get better results in A or B than women, or vice versa? Or why aren't men employed in more caring professions? The gender-neutral terms are focusing on behavior, on character, so that you can ask instead, why does society value and reward ingressive behavior so much, to a point that is hurting us as a species, and other species for that matter? Gender-neutral terms allow us to re-examine the way we carry out education, the way we work, to look for ways to foster a greater amount of the helpful, congressive behavior from everyone. And Dr. Cheng suggests that working on answers to those questions will resolve gender imbalances and other inequalities as a byproduct. Now, in Part 2 is a combination of thought experiment and memoir, where Cheng relates how this new emphasis on behavior rather than gender led her to make a major career change, and some examples, personal and otherwise, of employers and teachers coming up with ideas that value and reward congressive behavior. So how did I get this book, and how much did it cost? This was a library ebook. Our library service uses the BorrowBox app, and I would not say that the library ebook service offers a great selection of nonfiction. I mean, it's very good if you have a medical need. It provides a lot of books to help deal with illnesses, a lot of books about diet and exercise or mental health, or practical things like how to find a job, how to develop a small business. Very useful knowledge to have. But the rest is mostly celebrity memoirs. And I might not have discovered this book at all, except I was stuck somewhere with just my mobile phone, and so I had to give myself something to keep busy while I was waiting. And so I scrolled through all the nonfiction, and I managed to get enough books together for a dozen titles on a reading list. And this book was lucky number 13. If the review interests you enough to buy, then I noticed the Kindle version is selling for £6.49 on Amazon.co.uk, $16.99 on Amazon.com, and the paperback version is going for £9.19 or $12.75 respectively. Why did I choose to read this book? Back in the day, when yours truly here was 18, I sat the Scholastic Aptitude Test, or SAT. Do American kids still sit SATs? Question to YouTube generally. For all non-Americans, it is an exam designed to indicate your abilities in language and mathematics. I scored very high for my language ability, but I was only average for math. That makes me part of the target group Eugenia Cheng wants to reach, which was encouraging. But the much bigger draw, was the idea that a mathematician would tackle a subject like gender. I was hoping Cheng would bring some logical detachment to this discussion and be careful in the way she prepared her arguments and in the way she examined any counter-arguments. I wanted a discussion without all the high emotion, and that's exactly what I got. Have I found anything unexpected about the book? Dr. Cheng is honest about her aim in writing X plus Y. It is suggesting a broad set of principles to identify and change behavior, rather than trying to solve any particular problem related to gender. And by way of encouragement, Eugenia uses the final chapter of the book to suggest ways to foster more congressive behavior in situations where ingressive behavior has been the norm or it has been better rewarded. These included things Eugenia has actually implemented. I'm going to quote now from page 615, where she talks about how she solved a problem which came up whenever she gave a talk in public. The question and answer session afterwards, and you know the kind. Audience members are told they can raise their hands, and then some member of the stage crew has to run around with a cordless microphone and try to ensure that everyone gets a chance to speak. Dr. Cheng found that the questions asked by women were very few. She tried asking for questions from women first, but on one occasion this prompted a very aggressive response from the first man who was given the microphone. In fact, he went on so long the microphone had to be taken away from him, but apparently he went on shouting regardless. Here's what Eugenia does now. Now, instead of asking for raised hands, I invite everyone to have discussions with those around them. I walk round the room, hearing what people would like to explore, then return to the front and share those thoughts with everyone along with my reflections. Not only does this open the possibilities for congressive people to participate without pressure or fear, it also neutralizes ingressive behavior, because when the potential for performance or a public assertion of superiority is transformed into a human interaction, then somehow the ingressive behavior dissipates. As it happens, it also means I interact with far more women than in the normal ingressive question time, in which I hardly ever see any women ask questions. Is there anything readers should be prepared for if they're going to try reading X plus Y? Be prepared for chapter 2, okay? If you, like me, used to get headaches from concentration and anxiety during your school maths lessons because the concepts just seem to resist being understood, be prepared to slow down a little and maybe go back and reread to be certain you are getting what is said, because Eugenia Cheng is talking through illogical arguments and this problem of how much we desire to summarize data, even though the data itself might not lend to summary, there might be more than one conclusion that can be drawn from the same data. I had to learn the difference between mean, median, and mode. That was tough, and I had to fight my fear and my lack of confidence. I would say that's part of the reason why I picked this book. I feel I need to get beyond that unhappy school experience of learning math and hard sciences and try again to understand. More than that, maybe look for people who are better at teaching. Eugenia Cheng believes that school mathematics classes, they emphasize only half of what mathematics is, the aspects which happen to lend themselves to exercises which can be conducted during the period of a lesson so that students can know their results quickly. Cheng goes into more detail, I believe, in her other books about these aspects of mathematics teachings, and it's safe to say I will definitely be looking for another work by Dr. Cheng. Okay, any suggestions for related or follow-up reading? The photograph, by the way, is taken at one of Dr. Cheng's Liederstube or song salons. I went and explored Eugenia Cheng's website. Definitely worth a visit, eugeniacheng.com. And I found a link to her book recommendations. It's lovely to meet another reader online like that. And I'm going to leave the link in my description box. I reviewed her whole list, and I found myself drawn to this book, Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng. And here's what Dr. Cheng has to say about this novel. This book has one of the most spectacular first sentences I've ever encountered in a book, and continued to be spectacular throughout. I felt it was crafted almost like a mathematical proof where you start from the end and work backward towards first principles, seeking to understand every detail of the intricate combination of factors leading to the result. And that's another book review done. You know, while I was writing this script, I had one of those weird flashes of inspiration that came out of nowhere. You remember my previous video? I talked about how do I pick the next book that I'm going to read. Well, I'm almost finished Girl, Woman, Other by Bernardine Evaristo. So, of course, it was time to scan my shelves and look for the next novel. And a book leapt out at me. I mean, metaphorically speaking, of course. And I realized the only reason I own that book is because of its title. Absolutely. That's all I'm going to say. But look out for a video on a topic of choosing books sometime in July. Now, if you're one of those people who's having a mid-year freakout, please don't be too hard on yourself. If you are not one of those people, stay wonderful. And I look forward to seeing everybody again next time. Take care. Bye-bye.